Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. Well, around here, Sundays mean range day. Yesterday, I was working in the gun safe, doing a little cleanup, organization, inventory, that sort of stuff. And I started looking around and I was thinking to myself, what do I need? What do I have? What am I using? What am I not using? And it got me looking. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to get rid of this, or I need more of this. One of the things I find, especially with newer preppers and certainly with newer gun owners, is all of a sudden you want everything. You know, you walk into the gun store and there's just a wall display of every cool thing that you can get, right? I mean, whether it's AKs or ARs or, shotguns, you name it. I mean, they all look so fun, you know, so cool, everything. And it's a big mistake that a lot of people do when it comes to thinking about what's actually practical. Now, in my collection, if you will, and again, I'm going to say this, I'm an AR guy, all right? I mention this every time we talk about weaponry. If you're an AK guy, the same thing goes, just switch AK for AR, okay? Both are excellent weapons. But I started looking through this and go, okay, I've got ARs in 5.56, I've got 308, I've got a 22, I've got shotgun, I've got 9mm, I've got, again, Mrs. P's 22 pistol. You know, right there's 5 calibers. I'm going, and I've got this 380. And I'm like, we never shoot it. Neither one of us like the long pull on it. Why am I even keeping this? Why do I have ammo? I mean, as is, that now makes a 6th ammo that I have to keep stockpiled. And it's like, why? It's the big mistake that people made. Guilty again. I thought, hey, this would be something that'd be good for Mrs. P. She shot it. She didn't like it. For me, it's too small for my hand. Okay. Somebody was asking last night, what's the best pistol to own for a small woman? And I said, you've got to go to the gun shop and test it out yourself. Okay. Because there's no way I can tell you. I thought that would be a good one for Mrs. P. She hated it. Okay. So that particular firearm will be sold by me. Okay. Maybe somebody else will need it. No big deal. Take it to the gun store, sell it. Not that I'm trying to sell a weapon. Okay. Just YouTube. Just no, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm talking about it. But then I looked in there and it's like, okay, all the weapons are, and it's just stacks upon stacks upon stacks upon stacks of magazines. Loaded. Always keep your mags loaded. I know people, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard is, oh, you don't want to keep your magazines loaded because, you know, you'll wear out the spring. No, what causes a wear out of a spring is loading and firing and loading and firing and loading and firing, yada, yada, yada. Keeping it loaded, not going to make a difference. Because I will tell you this, when you go to need that weapon, you're not going to tell the bad guy who just broke into your house, hang on a second, I've got to load a couple of magazines, right? But so I got looking through, it's like, okay, Mrs. P says, how many loaded magazines do we have in the safe? I'm like, well, there's 24 or 5.56. Okay, there's 750 rounds right in there. I think that'll be fine. I've got more loaded magazines in other areas, but this is what we could keep at the ready in the safe for us. But then you start looking, it's like, oh, okay, you know what? I got a whole bunch of 22. Well, these in particular, these are stingers, these are hollow points, right? But I also have 22 FMJ. And then you've got my 5.56 ammo, and I have FMJ 5.56, I've got green tip, I've got some red tip, and all of a sudden you start looking going, okay, now I got to keep this organized. And then you look at what you got for my 308 for a hunting rifle, for example. It's like, oh, okay, this is good. And you start going, this is getting nuts. You know, sure. I mean, there's no way I'm going less than a 22, a 308, a 5.56, my 9mm, and a shotgun. Okay. I can't get down below 5. It's not practical. Each one of those particular platforms has a specific use. Okay. And, you know, you're not going to go, oh, I don't know, deer hunting with a 9mm pistol. You're not going to shoot squirrels with an AR-15. You know, every one of them's got different reasons. Then, you know, again, talking about shotgun. Okay, I've got birdshot, I've got buckshot, I've actually got drone shot. If you know what that is, it kind of shoots a net out and take out a drone that way. Little ones, not these military drone type things. You're not going to do anything with that. But you start looking at this and you go, how do I keep this organized? And there's the catch, because I was looking at my safe yesterday and I'm like, everything is in here, no problem, but it's just almost a fustercluck in there, because there's all sorts of different kinds of ammunition, and sure, all the boxes are labeled and the magazines are full. But maybe for you and me, for example, you know, somebody who's well-versed in their firearms, you can look at a magazine, a loaded magazine, and know exactly which weapon it goes in. But maybe you don't. You know, I've got multiple 9mm pistols. The bullets are all the same. You look at the top and go, okay, it's a 9mm. But let's say somebody who's not so experienced, i.e. Mrs. P, okay? She's going to look at a magazine and go, does it fit in this weapon? 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 And again, it's the same thing. You don't have enough time when something happens to go, crap, that's not the right one. Okay, nope, that's not the right one. Nope, that's not the right one. I will give you a suggestion when it comes to magazines, okay, loaded magazines. Get a pen, you know, one of these like paint pens that you use for Christmas, you know, the real pretty, you know, the silver pen, you know, you're to Mary from Joe, you know, from Santa, whatever. Write on the magazine, on the metal portion of the magazine, what weapon it's for. Because that way, in the heat of needing it, in a split second, you can look and say, oh, CZ, oh, shield, what, and boom, you're there, okay? It will make it a lot easier. Of course, if you only have one pistol or one rifle, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. You know, in my ARs, for example, yeah, I got banana mags. I know exactly what they are for. Everybody knows they're very self-descriptive. But if, let's say, you own both ARs and AKs, okay, the novice might not know how to, you know, which one is which. Okay, so there's something there. The best thing I can tell you to do other than marking the magazines is keep yourself organized. If you've got a large collection, let's put it this way, maybe you want to have multiple safes. This one's for rifles, this one's for pistols, including my rifle ammo, including my pistol ammo, you know, just as an example. But train the novice as best you can. Give you this, your children, and I know this will go against everybody. I mean, I'm not talking about your 4-year-old, okay? But, you know, the first rifle that most boys ever shot was a 22, okay? And first one I ever shot was a 22. And I had to learn how to load a magazine. That's important. Everybody even if in your mag, in your household or whatever, should at least know how to load a magazine quickly, okay? Whether you've got a different kind of speed loader or anything, cool, okay? But they should know how to do it. Because in a situation, maybe your 12-year-old daughter is, you don't want her in a firefight. Let's say the bad guys, the Venezuelan gangs start coming up your street. You don't want your 12-year-old daughter out there who doesn't have a clue shooting. But what she can do is load magazines in the background, because no matter how many you have, as soon as it's empty, it's useless. It's like every time I go to the range, the first two things I do when I come home, I reload the empty mags and I clean the weapons, because they need to be ready. You can't go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Because as soon as you do that, guaranteed that's when you need it tonight. So spend a little time training. Show them how to load a magazine. Show them what the different weapons are. Like I said, write on the mags which one. Because if you're in the middle of something and you say, holy crap, a standard loadout, you're carrying 6 mags on you. Yeah, I got 24 in the safe, right? I'm not going to carry all that. Then I got 60 some odd more up there. But, honey, go get me a couple more AR mags. And you don't want the kid go, here, Dad, and it's a 9mm mag. No, that's not you don't have that time, okay? Run and get me this now. Think about the simple things, the organization. Again, how many different types of 22 ammo do you have? How many different types of 5.56 do you have? Keep all those weapons together. You got 5 different 9mm, great. Those should all be stored together with the ammo. It does you no good to have your pistols stored with your rifle ammo. And I guarantee you there's some of you guys out there are going, I've got it all in the same spot. And does my kid, does my wife, does my grandmother or whatever, somebody in the house, if I said, go get me 9mm ammunition without reading the box, do they know what it is just by looking at it? I'm not saying go to the range, do that. Certainly do it. Okay, practice. But you got to start somewhere. It's no different than when you're teaching somebody to shoot. The first thing you teach them is proper stance, proper hold, et cetera, et cetera. You teach them how the safeties work before there's ever a magazine put in there. You teach them everything about safety. Teach them also about everything else, knowing what it is. Because if you don't know, your 12-year-old, for example, doesn't know the difference between 5.56 and 9mm, they may never pull a trigger in their life, but that knowledge may be what saves their life. Pinball out.